Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to talk about something a little different. How many times have I said that on this channel already? Oh my gosh. This video is going to be a little bit chit-chatty, and it's kind of like a two-part or two-fold topic. I'll explain. So this video is kind of a bit of an ode to the show Supernatural. Ode is kind of a weird word to say, but it's sort of like an ode to Supernatural and a little chat about the effects of storytelling, just in general, for people who aren't a fan of Supernatural or don't even know that show. So where to start? I guess I'll explain what Supernatural is. Supernatural is a television show that began in 2005, and basically the premise is two brothers, Sam and Dean Winchester, who travel across the United States fighting monsters, ghosts, demons, and other supernatural beings. And it's a pretty simple premise that started, I guess, kind of simply. I think people weren't really sure if it was going to take off, and I think even like the cast and the crew and everyone working on it was pretty surprised by the fact that it not only became a watched show, it really sort of blew up within a couple of seasons. And now in 2019, the 14th season is currently on TV, and pretty much all of the current seasons are on Netflix if anyone's interested in checking it out. And this past Friday or something, they actually announced that in 2020, the next season, season 15, is going to be the last season of Supernatural. And you know, when it comes to watching a TV show, you pretty much expect it to end at some point. I mean, that's the expectation. There's very few shows, I think, that are still running since the very, very beginning, like umpteen years ago. And one of the unique things about Supernatural is it is like, I forget the exact phrase, but it's basically like the longest running, I think, like sci-fi genre show, because it has been running since 2005, which is a long time for any show, and way longer than I think the cast and crew realized. I didn't start watching Supernatural until like 2015, I believe. I'd heard about the show a little bit because one of my best friends really likes it, but for some reason I just never really cared to watch it, and also because I didn't have like the WB or CW network on the TV, so I had no way to watch it. And so it was Halloween of 2015. I didn't have anything to do. I didn't have any place to be. So I just thought, well, why don't I just sit down and watch something kind of spooky? Because Halloween is my favorite, I almost said season. It's my favorite holiday. And so I went on Netflix, and one of the first things that popped up was Supernatural. It said, you might like to watch this. And I read the description and I was like, I don't know. We'll see. And then I realized that it was a show. I wasn't sure at the time if it was a show or a movie. And then I saw that there was already 10 seasons on at the time. And I thought, wow, that's pretty crazy. This has been on for a long freaking time. And I said, you know, whatever. I'll just watch one episode, and just for the sake of it, just for something to do on Halloween night. There's no way I'm getting attached, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I think I binge watched like 5 episodes in a row that night. Something about it just hooked me, and I wasn't expecting it, and I can't necessarily really pinpoint what captured my attention. Of course, there was the supernatural sort of spooky aspect, and you know, the leading men are quite good looking, so that probably has a lot to do with its popularity. But as the years went on, and this is even talking from someone who wasn't there from start to finish, so I can't even imagine how it would feel to have been watching from 2005 until 2019 and to like really be into it. But as the years went on, Supernatural became more than just a TV show for a lot of people. It really grew into a phenomenon. And I think some of the reason for that is, of course, the actors are very talented and good looking, and other characters and cast that have been on the show are also very talented. And of course the storylines are constantly changing. Each season pretty much has its own unique arc. The first season began with just, these are two brothers, and our dad went hunting, which is code for went out to kill some monsters, and he hasn't been back. We have to find him. And it kind of just goes from there, just this constant arcs of hunting different things. And of course there's like a big arc, and there's like smaller storylines that happen within each episode, and while the larger arcs are happening through each season. But then it's interesting because I never saw firsthand like the transformation from, you know, little podunk show that, you know, no one really knew that much about, to like incredible show where there's like, it has its own conventions and people like around the world are just like obsessed and fascinated with the show. It's 4:30 already. Jesus. That was my alarm to start dinner. Okay, whatever. Hopefully I won't be talking about this for forever. I think one of the things that also surprised me was that it started as a show that I had vaguely heard about, didn't really care that much about, and I just gradually started to, like the characters, and then eventually I was kind of curious about the actors who were on the show. And then I also realized that the cast and crew have not just selfishly profited from the show's success. No doubt some of them are quite wealthy considering how popular the show is and how many years it's been on. But I think they're one of those few casts where they don't just use their talents and their popularity for personal selfish gain. They actually do a lot to pay back to the society as a whole. A lot of them do like fundraising type things where you can buy merchandise and part of the proceeds or sometimes the entire purchase price of the item will go towards some sort of worthy cause. They do a lot in terms of suicide awareness and mental illness awareness and stuff like that, and just all kinds of stuff that's important to the cast and crew and whatever. And you don't really see that very often with very many shows. It's just kind of like, this is a show, and these are some people, and we're good looking, and we are in the tabloids for random shit. But it's not really that way with these people. And I don't believe in holding any celebrity on a pedestal whatsoever. But I think the cast of Supernatural is one of the few casts or celebrities that I truly respect. And I'm not like a celebrity follower kind of person. I don't know what they're like in real life. I've never met them, but I've heard good things. And it is just kind of interesting how a show that just had such a simple premise, two brothers fighting monsters and supernatural things and listening to classic rock became so much more and means so much to so many people. So for me, I wasn't heartbroken or like devastated to hear that it was coming to an end. I mean, I figured at some point, once they announced the 14th season, I'm like, I wonder if this is going to be the last one or the next one. But I still had that feeling of disappointment and sadness. I'll admit it. I was sad to hear that it was ending because, of course, a show like this, it's like, damn, you've already gone 14 years and people still love it. You figure it would go on for 14 more? Who knows? And I've had this feeling, and I'm sure everyone can relate to this, when you're watching a show or a movie or a book, or watching a book, or reading a book, and you just have this feeling of like bittersweetness or just sadness or just like really heavy feelings. Like it's really personal when you just become so enthralled by a storyline and characters that when it's over, you just really feel like you've lost friends. Like it's very interesting how stories can do that to us. So that's where the kind of second part of this video comes in. I want to talk about the effects of storylines, and the reason Supernatural stuck out to me is because it is one of my favorite shows. I'm probably a little bit obsessed with it because it is still like on TV and still current, and I don't really watch a lot of TV or current things in the first place, which you'll notice if you've watched any of my favorites videos where like any of the movies and shows that I mention are at least like 5 or 10 years old or more. And so I don't want to spend too much time going on about Supernatural in itself. And it's hard because I am a big fan of the show. And I do feel like it has, affected me in really good ways. Namely because of the themes of family is a huge theme with it. And as someone who, I guess the term is a broken home. I come from a broken home or whatever. My dad was never around, and having moved across the country years ago, you feel very distant from your family. But it's one of those shows where, they even say family don't end in blood, and it doesn't begin there either. So it's kind of reassuring that other people, fictional characters and real people in real life, can understand that sometimes your best friends are your family. And, it is very important to have strong bonds with your blood relatives as much as you can, but I haven't really had that growing up in a lot of ways. So it always kind of made me feel a little guilty when people are like, oh, family over everything, which to me is fucking cliche, but it is nice that you can choose your family and you can turn best friends into family, and it really just depends on who you want to care about. And the other big theme that really sticks out to me with Supernatural is, struggling and overcoming your own, personal demons, I guess is the best way to say it. and people who struggle with like mental illness and stuff. And all these things sort of like really touch home for myself and a lot of other people. Regardless of if you've even watched the show or even give a crap about it, I think we can all kind of relate to those feelings of struggling with some sort of personal turmoil. But to kind of like get off the supernatural track, I don't want to sound like too fangirly, even though I could easily be that, and hopefully there are some people watching who are relating to this, to the whole supernatural thing, but it's just really fascinating to me when a fictional work, such as a show or a movie or a book, can really have profound positive effects on the real world. I think some people sort of laugh when people get like obsessed or really into books, movies, bands, whatever. But I think that's like the great thing about art in all its forms, is how we do find ways to understand the real world and ourselves because of fictional characters and fictional events. And I guess that's why I feel like it's not only okay, but it can be a positive thing for anyone to find some sort of artistic obsession. I don't want to use the word obsession because I feel like it has like a bad connotation, but it is okay and sometimes a good thing to get really into some sort of show or book or whatever that really does have a positive effect on your life in ways that maybe you don't find in the real world, you know? And as a creator, a writer, an author, I can only hope that someday something I create could have a positive effect on someone who reads it. Or even like one of these videos, even though a lot of my videos are pretty rambly. But yeah, it is just fascinating and interesting, and I kind of like that there is like a supernatural phenomenon, and you know, they call it the SBN family, where you feel like you're not alone in your obsession. What's another word for that? What's a better word than obsession? Love for it, I guess? I don't know. Because it makes you feel a little less like weird to say like this show changed my life or this book changed my life for the better. And I feel like a lot of people who are kind of like nerdy or called nerds for being really passionate about something feel almost misunderstood or bad because they have some sort of obsession. I can't think of another word. Passion's a good one. Love is another one. You know what I mean. When you just really like some sort of art form, medium, whatever, and it has a profound positive effect on you. And I don't think that, you know, my book, Blood of Fire, will have that same sort of effect. I mean, I think it'd be really hard for any book or movie or show to top the sort of phenomenon that Supernatural has become. And I don't think that it necessarily, like, anything has to compete or try to dethrone them, because part of the reason why people like me love the show so much is because of all the things we've gained from it. And it is weird that I've been feeling kind of sad, even though I knew that the show was going to end. And I had this same really sad feeling when I finished watching Lost, even though I was never, like, obsessed with it, but it was one of those shows that still made you feel a lot. And I think one of the good things that, one of the things that Lost and Supernatural have in common is the characters. And it is really important to create very dynamic, well-rounded characters in order for your readers or viewers to relate to them. And I think Lost and Supernatural both did that. The protagonists in Supernatural are flawed. Sam and Dean both have very distinct personalities that change and grow and, you know, stuff like that throughout the entire 14 plus years that it's been on TV. And I think that's why people find it so relatable. They can relate to the things that those characters have gone through, even if it's not like going to hell, literally, which the characters have done, even though, yes, it is fiction, whatever. But I think we all sort of deal with our own personal struggles, and we hope to change for the better as time goes on. So I'm not sure 100% what I wanted people to get from this video, except that it's okay to be sad when your favorite show or book or whatever is coming to a close. It's also okay to be really passionate about a work of fiction and to say that, yes, this book, this movie, this band or music album changed my life. And that's what I think one of the great things about art is that it takes things from the real world and fictionalizes them, and yet can sort of turn things around and help real people overcome real problems using fiction. Like, I just think it's really fascinating. Just storytelling in general is so fascinating, how we can share ideas through fictional mediums and grow so much from them. And I love that. Like I said, I would love if something that I wrote someday could really affect someone that positively. If it's Blood of Fire, that's awesome. If it's another book, that's fine too. And I think that's something that all artists really strive for, more than to be rich and famous. We just really want to touch people with our fictional works. If one of my books could have even a smidgen of the effect that Supernatural has had on so many people, then I think that would be pretty cool. And yeah, I think this was just, like I said, a chatty video about me kind of expressing that there is a work of fiction that I really love and have felt really touched by. And hopefully there's some other Supernatural fans out there who will be like, yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, and who can relate to it and get on board. And even if you don't watch Supernatural, or if you did and you don't like it, then maybe you can relate to the feeling of just being very positively affected by a work of fiction. Yeah, I mean, if there is some sort of storyline, again, whether that's a movie, a book, music, a video game, TV show, anything that has affected you in a positive way, or you feel like really changed your life or had, I don't know, any sort of positive effect, let me know in the comments what it is. Maybe I've watched or listened or read or otherwise experienced that for myself. Or maybe someone else in the comments will have also. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is really an ode to Supernatural, but I think it's just sort of an ode to storytelling and just me kind of coming to terms with the fact that it's okay to be a little bit nerdy about a work of fiction, and that I really love the effect that storytelling can have on people. So that's all I'm going to talk about today, because, like I said, I need to get dinner, my throat hurts, and I have more vlogging to do, apparently. If you want to keep up with me on other social media, I will link all of those things in the description below. If you'd like to check out my debut novel, Blood of Fire, of course, that will be also in the description below. That was a weird way to phrase that sentence. Alright, so until next time, see ya!